Hello everyone, thank you so much for taking your time and joining in here. So we will be starting the session right now. We have Divya here, our mind health counselor, who would be talking to us about vivid or about how to be very confident. I believe you are able to see the topic over here. I won't take much time of yours. We should be starting it right now. Divya, over to you.
Okay. I hope I'm audible for everybody.
Yes, perfectly.
Great, great. Okay, fine. So, yes, so we are going to be talking about assertiveness, the power of assertiveness, and how assertiveness can be used in order to help us communicate with confidence about what we want. So, as the title says, it's voice it out loud. And yes, we are going to first briefly look at some of the contents that we will be covering today on the next slide. Yes. Can we go to the next slide? Yes. So here we are going to look at again what is assertiveness and what is not assertiveness. Because sometimes we may imagine that the way we communicate might be quite direct or bold, but in reality, that may not really be assertiveness. And also, we do communicate all the time with everybody, verbally and non-verbally. So it's kind of important to kind of check with ourselves. Okay, the type of communication that I'm doing, what type is it, and how is it helping me, and is it not helping me? And of course, like there's takeaways that how we can kind of with self-reflection, knowing ourselves a little better, how can we practice assertiveness? So this whole topic is about assertiveness being like a skill. So again, like all skills, we have to learn them, practice them, try, fail, practice till we get better at it. Yeah, the next slide. So, yes, what is assertiveness? Now, the American Psychological Association defines assertiveness in the first para, an adaptive style of communication in which individuals can express their feelings and needs directly while maintaining respect for others. And in simple words, it's being quite honest. It's taking a good look at ourselves and thinking about okay, what is it that I want to communicate right now? Is there something about my work? Is there something about the task that I have? Do I have an opinion about it? Do I think that there can be a better way to do this? So here we are acknowledging it that okay, I have a certain feeling about this nature of work or this person or a manner of work, and we also kind of stand up for ourselves and communicate it without hurting the person that we are speaking to. Okay, the next slide. Now assertiveness is like a healthy way of communication. It is actually the healthier option among the other types of communication. Now, again, what I had said earlier, right? Like we may sometimes think that I am being assertive, but in reality, I may not be. For example, like being brutally honest and talking without a filter. We may think, okay, this is the right way to do this. I'm being direct. I'm standing up for myself. But sometimes what we really want to say can be lost when we talk without a filter. It can hurt the other person. It can be offensive. It can put someone down. For example, if somebody had they had to go somewhere at a certain time, or they had a meeting that's been set and they're not available. So without a filter, somebody would be talking about like, like somebody would be saying that this is so annoying. Like, why do you do this? Can you move this to another time? That's not assertiveness, right? Assertiveness would be just communicating that I'm not going to be available at this time. Somebody can send me the notes, and I will be there later. And assertiveness it's not inborn. It's not like I have assertiveness or I don't. It's not an either or like that. Again, like I say, it's a skill. And something that's quite interesting is that as adults we kind of have forgotten how learning takes place. So, like sometimes we'll have to try it a few times being assertive. We'll have to try it in different areas in our life, test it, see if, we are being assertive or aggressive. So it's with practice that it comes. And again, it's not offensive because, we're not pushing somebody else down. And also, it's important to know that being assertive, it does not mean that you're suggesting. Again, if there is a task that is it is difficult for you to do, and instead of saying that I think this is taking a lot of time, or I don't know if this is possible, you are directly going to say that I'm not suggesting, or you're directly saying that this is challenging. Maybe somebody can help sit with you and look through it, or you can also say that like maybe I need some more time, rather than asking for a suggestion. The next slide. So yes, looking at what are other types of communication skills, communication types, sorry, apart from being assertive. Passive, then there's aggressive also. And then there is a mix of passive and aggressive, which I will explain now. The next slide. Okay. So now maybe you can think of some examples in your own life, or somebody that when we are looking at these different communication patterns. So for example, passive now, right? Passive would be when somebody always thinks of the other person's need before their own. Saying okay to something when they don't want to say okay. And probably thinking that, I don't want to get into this conflict, or I don't want to get into an argument, and just trying to make peace in a way. And people who passively communicate also don't, they may not understand what is important for them, and they may give more importance to somebody else's need. Now, this is how this can be a problem, is that in the long term, in the long run, right? Everything that we have said no to ourselves, it keeps piling up, and it can build like in the form of resentment. It can make us physically tired sometimes. It can be playing in our heads like an incomplete thing. And it can lead to a lot of dissatisfaction as well, because if you are quiet about your own needs for a long time, and sometimes you can also just have an outburst, right? So this is where on the extreme right, that you can see that passive aggressive communication, where you are not being direct about it. You are trying your best to be pleasant, or trying to show that yes, I'm going to do this, but your body language and your emotions are saying otherwise. It can be something like you're really tense, and you're telling the other person, sure, I'll happily do it. Now that's like a incongruent message, right? So to the person who can hear you, they can really see the passive aggressiveness, and this can make them maybe uncomfortable also. It's mixed signals, right? It's confusing. Now the middle one, aggressive communication. So here what happens is that now if at all someone who is passive in nature, they feel like they are being used, or like a doormat, or taken advantage of, the aggressive communication person might be the one who may use someone as a doormat, or may keep their needs first. Here the person may, your communication might not consider the other person's feelings, their boundaries, no regard for someone's boundaries. For example, if you know very well that somebody is not available after a certain time, see, now exceptions are different when there's like a priority task, when there's something important, those aside. But just like regularly just calling someone when you need to do something can be that you are stepping over and violating somebody else's boundary, and feeling like you are entitled to do it, right? And also this includes the form of verbal communication, right, where you're yelling at someone, you kind of bully someone to do something, you guilt trip. Even things like nagging and scolding come under aggressive communication. Yeah, and these are the type of communication that we may have in our workplace with our colleagues, with our managers, with our subordinates, with our relationships, friends, spouses, etc. So and just also to let everyone know that it's very rare that it's not like we have just one type of communication. It's not that I am always aggressive. If you observe that, you will find that in different situations, maybe in different relationships also, perhaps the way you communicate could be different. Yeah. Okay. Next slide. Now when we think about, right, like how can I practice assertiveness? How can I be an assertive person? How can I behave assertively? So the first thing starts with ourselves. Yeah, like we need, what do you want to communicate? What are the things that people commonly communicate, right? So these four are some of them, like needs. What do you need? You know, what is it that you need to communicate? Something is there that you want to express. Your feelings, you know, has something, in some way, are you feeling disrespected? You know, are you feeling unappreciated? You know, what exactly is that feeling? Sometimes we may just feel like a vague sense of hurt or discomfort, but it's very hard for us to really pinpoint what we feel. So and also opinions, you know, we may have an opinion about a certain type of strategy, a certain outlook, etc. And of course ideas. So we need to be extremely clear, or as clear as we can be, about what is it that we really want to communicate. Because before we even think of, like, you know, sharing it with somebody else, we need to ourselves be quite clear on what is it that we need to express. Next slide. So I thought, let's start with feelings. Now, nobody has really taught us what are feelings, how, and we may think we don't need to learn, right? Because we feel, we're human. But a lot of times when you ask people, like, you know, to talk about how they feel, they might end up saying things like, I feel really ignored by what this person said, or I feel like they don't care, etc. But these are not feelings. These are kind of like our evaluation on someone's behavior. So feelings are a little more simple, and one great way to kind of identify how to recognize our feelings is to pay attention to, like, first of all, how we are feeling, and you know, have like a have like a bunch of vocabulary of different feelings, emotions with you, like anger, then there's frustration, there's irritation, there's happy, there's content, there's pride. So it is great to have, like, you know, you can look it up on Google also, like what are the different words that, you know, you have like your own like grouping of words. So it will help you to identify what you feel, because in order, when we know what we feel, we are a little more clear about, okay, what exactly is it that I want to communicate. Next slide. So I thought, let's go to a scenario which maybe can help us to understand what are feelings. And also I wanted to focus on needs. That's the next thing that we're going to look at. Okay, so Tripti joined the sales team in her company. She was excited and felt her people skills, charisma, and sound technical knowledge fit this new role. Okay. Now, since she had a technical background, and her nature was quite outgoing and friendly, her manager was like, she can start this as soon as possible, because, you know, we know how it is when there is like client demand is really high, and, you know, we need to do things ASAP to be responsive. And when she was asked, you know, do you need more time? Tripti said no. And Tripti's idea behind it was that she wanted to be a supportive teammate. She wanted to be on board and, you know, just start right away and contribute. Now, so now, as time passed by, in reality, Tripti was finding it really hard to juggle her daily tasks and incoming tasks. So sometimes it's like, you know, you have a to-do list of things that you want to do, but, you know, you have these ad hoc tasks that come in, and then, you know, you have more and more things in your list, and as you're scratching out also, nothing seems to, you don't feel like you have actually done much, and pending tasks keep coming up. So then her manager started inquiring about emails that Tripti had missed, and the tasks that's been piling up. So for this, Tripti has requested for more time. She wanted to get used to the process, and she wanted to push back. But she also saw that her colleagues don't do the same. They don't spend more time on tasks as she does. So when asked about her lack of contribution, Tripti she was not able to come up with any ideas. So she felt blank very often, and she was always preoccupied with how to complete her task. Now, I want everybody to think about this. One is that how can Tripti be assertive in this situation? I want to give some space for anybody to think about this and answer, or you can even put it in the chat box if that's something that's easier. Anything is fine. It doesn't have to be like a perfect answer, correct answer, wrong answer, because we're all going to like just brainstorm together here.
Yes, you can unmute yourself actually. Anyone want to talk about this?
Sorry, what was the question?
So the question is like, how do you think Tripti in this kind of situation, how do you think she can be assertive here? Or, how can she the best way that she could communicate in this situation?
By, first of all, acknowledging that she did not understand the depth of the task and the timeline required for it, and committed to it, and then saying that, she would require more time to complete it.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe not start in the negative, saying, saying I did not I did not expect it to be so hard and I require more time. Just, be positive, put it in a positive way, so that she also acknowledges that she did not think it through while she said yes or yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. So it was something like, she was able to evaluate after she started working on it, right? And she saw that, she does need more time, and maybe some training, because that was something that like she had skipped, right? So kind of like asking for these things that could help her. Absolutely. Anybody else? Anything else do you feel? So sometimes when we see these things, right, we may miss out on something. Maybe somebody else would have a different perspective. So it's great to hear different perspective, because that really helps us learn. Anybody else? Okay, that's fine. The other question is like, okay, what do you think? What do you think were her feelings when she's going through this? And you can say different things, like probably when an example I can start is that when she saw that her colleagues do not push back as much as she does, maybe she felt discouraged, or she felt sad. As simple as that.
Frustrations too sometimes.
Okay, frustration, definitely. Anything else? And the thing about feelings is that, sometimes we can experience 2-3 feelings at the same time. Sometimes some micro feelings, some feelings are louder than others. But yeah, you can. Anything else? Okay. So one way that we can identify or name and recognize our feelings, like I said, was like having a lot of feeling words in front of us. And feelings are not comfortable sometimes. We're not used to sitting with our feelings, right? But again, why it's important to recognize our feelings is because, we are feeling multiple things. It is better to declutter these feelings so we can be clear about them before we go ahead to speak to a manager or speak to a colleague. Because when we are quite emotionally vague, and it can stress us out, and we may not be able to communicate clearly like we would want to. Yeah. Okay, next slide. Can we go to the next slide? Okay. Now we have another situation here. And Tripti's way to unwind was to hit the gym at 7, a practice she has maintained for over a year. Now, with her new team, there's a teammate that she has who has a habit of scheduling last-minute team huddles at 6:45. And this looks like it's putting Tripti off her routine. So she misses the gym on the days the meetings get extended. Now, Tripti is experiencing anxiety during these meetings and she keeps looking at the time. And this way, she is missing out on key information or she's unable to contribute. So she had once tried. She stepped up and she emailed her colleague and suggested that early meetings seem better for an update. But irrespective of this email, the meetings continued to be randomly scheduled at her inconvenience. So in this situation, how do you think Tripti can communicate assertively with this colleague about this situation? Would anybody, if you put yourself in Tripti's shoes, what would you do?
Maybe Tripti can suggest subtly a different time that would work for her and
Okay, a time that would work well for her, right?
yeah, and the thing like subtly instead of saying no directly, you can suggest something else that would work.
Right, right. Great. So it's like she's also giving a solution, right? Instead of just saying no. Yeah. So even that is also a great way to so in here she won't be just pushing back, but she is also going to offer a solution and she's going to give a time that she is available, which is great. And so I'm also going to highlight that it is important that Tripti first inform this colleague that she is not available at 7, like she has a hard stop, and then put in the suggestion that let's do it at this time. So you're proactively helping the team move this around. Yeah. Anything else that anybody else would do? There was once a suggestion that somebody had said that there was if another way would be that Tripti would actually inform everybody in the team, and she herself would find a timing, and she created the huddle for everybody with the notion that not just her but even other team members may feel very uncomfortable with the meeting being pushed beyond 6:45. So that's also something that there was another random suggestion. Yeah. Okay. And anybody wants to just kind of name some of the feelings that she may be going through?
Is huddle the right way to do it? I mean, getting everyone to agree to your, whatever you want to do. I mean, it is one of the ways, but yeah, the company, the organization might not take kindly to it.
Okay, if she randomly just set a timing, right?
Not randomly. If everyone's fine with it, yeah, you can go ahead and set up a time. But getting everyone to, yeah, if everyone's agreeing, 7 o'clock is an inconvenient time, of course. But getting everyone to agree to what is convenient for you might not be the best approach, I feel. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I like what you said, that, checking with everybody is something that might help. Like, if, not just your own convenient, right? Not just Tripti's convenient and just setting up a meeting, but yes, absolutely. Kind of like, asking everybody also, like, is this a convenient time? Does this work for everybody else as well? And so absolutely. So here, like, we are also looking at assertiveness like a middle ground. So where, again, like, if she had just set up a convenient time for herself, that would be inconsiderate of others, and it's kind of like an aggressive action, right? So yes, middle ground again. Any other thoughts? This is a good space, like, where if you feel like you want to, like, bring up something that would have been missed, or like you want to disagree with something, this is the best place.
Sonu Yadav has written on the chat that she can suggest if the summary can be shared somewhere either on mail or WhatsApp, whatever discussion happening in meeting every day.
Okay. So in case, so here also, like, so she does not really miss anything, right? And if she has a hard stop and she has to leave, this is another option. Yeah. That's also good. So it's kind of nice to see that there are different things that she can do. And it's, again, sometimes assertiveness is not always about, it's not a guarantee that you will get what you want. Now, suppose this colleague, the colleague is quite adamant, even after the suggestion of keeping it at 6:45, but at least, like, there is, you have vocalized it, you were not quiet, you had to stand up for what is important for you. And if it is something after your work hours, and you made that quite clear as well, and you offered suggestions as well, because there are a lot of times, right, like, when you are passive, it's like you're not doing anything, and perhaps in the end, if something happened, you would be asked, like, why didn't you bring this up before, or things like that. So again, like, assertiveness is also very empowering. It helps you to think of different solutions, and it also shows that you are standing up for yourself. And again, all these things can be used, right? Like summaries, or like trying to be there for some time. A lot of permutations and combinations. Yeah. Anything else, or else we can move to the next part. Okay. So this is something that's super useful. We have some primary feelings in the center, and it's a great way for self-reflection, and to kind of understand what is it really that's affecting us. Like, we may just feel like, okay, I'm just feeling really bad today, maybe about something that somebody said. But in reality, like, what could be the situation is, like, there is something at work which is out of your hand, and what we all have probably experiences, and what is something that's a bit out of our control, and where we are forced to wait, we are quite stressed out till the situation is kind of resolved. So it helps to know that what is the real reason that's stressing me out, right? Okay, it is because I cannot control the situation. So while you are making sense of what is happening, like, with you. So you are not facing your feelings like just like one cloud, but you are getting more clarity and seeing this. Again, this really helps you to speak up. This helps you to know yourself better. And it's not like, just because I know what I feel, it doesn't imply that you have to just tell everybody and everything that what you feel. But this is a first step for yourself for communication. Yeah. Okay. We can go to the next slide. And the same way it goes, like learn to recognize your needs. Sometimes, there are tasks that you are really, that you're able to do it very well every day, but then there might be more that you can contribute, and that is also a need, that you want to do more, you want more, you want to be more creative, you want to like initiate things, like, so that's something that will help you to ask for it, right? Again, like, if you are not satisfied with something at work, maybe find out what else is it, what is this need, dig in, like, it's like, what is the behind the need of the need. So that's how you kind of like also learn to ask for something. Assertiveness is not about just saying no, it's about requesting, it's about asking, it's about statements as well. Yeah. Okay, the next slide. So now when we look at, again, practicing assertiveness, just like, if you've learned like a musical instrument or like a language, you need to practice it. It doesn't come naturally. It doesn't come naturally to anybody, but it comes out of learning. So it is important to again, like, knowing yourself is super important here. Like, know your limit list, like a don't do list rather than a to do list. So what are some things that is off limits for you as much as possible? Again, like what I said, right? Like, I want to highlight that there are always exceptions where you would want to help out someone, put your need down, or like there are important project priorities. Those are different. Those are like, those are different from you doing something, this, a habituated form of communication or behavior. So mark out that list when you have time. Like, what are those things that you're just not going to be doing, like maybe it's even something like stay, for some people they're absolutely okay with early morning working hours, or when I say early morning, I'm talking about like 5 and 6 in the morning, or if you to do something or for a quick meeting, and and it is essential that you kind of highlight these limit lists very early on. Like, don't waste time. And because much later it can get difficult to bring it up and things like that. And rather than in the morning, there's something that you can finish much later. Yeah. So make your own personal limit list and build in on that for when you need to make things clearer for others. Yeah. And then, so now, where do we practice this assertiveness, right? It seems a little dicey and tricky. We can't just practice it anywhere and everywhere. So think of those situations where it's really low stake, where you feel like you don't have much to lose. Why? Because again, like when you are learning a language, right? We first learn, like, sometimes we first learn the alphabets, and then we learn words, then we go into like some more grammar, and then we go to complicated grammar. So when you are able to practice assertiveness with people that you feel like, okay, there's not much risk, or I don't have that much emotion involved here. So it helps you to see what you're doing correctly, how assertive are you, or maybe you feel like you're being assertive, but maybe it's passive. So it is great to practice it as much as you can in situations that's low stake. Then yes, speak up at the right time. Again, why I encourage everyone to speak up as soon as they can, and if you need some time to cool off, do that, but try to get back to it in the same day or the next day at least, because keeping this up, you could actually end up not communicating. You may think, okay, tomorrow, and you avoid this uncomfortable conversation. There's also a time when, like, we also that it can build up resentment and unhappiness, frustration, and you could end up having like an outburst, or feeling really unhappy, and this can interfere with your relationship with your colleagues, personal relationships, etc. When you are requesting for something, requesting for something, I would encourage you to not apologize. Sorry, but can I have this time off? Or sorry, but can we have this meeting a little earlier? or sorry, I have a hard stop. These are things that you don't really have to apologize for. Apologize when it is really necessary. I would encourage that, but kind of understand when, are you respecting yourself? Are you devaluing yourself? Or, are you feeling undeserving? There are a lot of other thoughts that can come in your way there. Okay. And definitely, like sometimes when we become passive, a lot of it is because we are kind of like we don't value ourselves a lot. And like again, the whole thing is about putting someone else's need before ours, right? But whether we like it or not, we have needs. Every human being has needs, and some of our needs can be different from, like, my need, my most prominent need might be different from somebody else's need. So you need to really sit and reflect on what you deserve, what are your needs, and again, this will give you some more confidence internally to ask for it. Organize your thoughts. We do need a clear mind, clear, uncluttered thoughts and thought patterns to communicate what we want. So what it helps if you can, like, kind of try to relax, take a few deep breaths before you want to go talk about something. It helps sometimes to, personally, it helps me a lot to write down what I want to talk about if it is a difficult conversation. Yeah, you can write it on your phone, on a book. You can organize your thoughts with somebody else. You can if there's a trusted person at work, or a friend, soundboarding with them to organize your thoughts is a great way. Again, this is going to give you some more confidence when you have to actually speak to the person at hand. Yeah. And yes, the number 7 is just what we had discussed earlier, to identify our feelings and needs, because that is the base of a lot of what we want. And what we want is eventually what we want to communicate, right? Yeah. So that sums it up in total. But I just want to ask if there is any questions, or if anybody wants to share an experience, that's also great. Like, again, all of these things really help in understanding the topic better and our learning.
Hey, hi, Payal. Just one question from my side.
Sure.
So, how to keep your stand when you are aware that you are right about a topic, but someone cuts you off in between? Like, how to take your stand in that case?
Right. So one thing you can try to do at that time is write it down, and bring it up right after that conversation. Like, say, like, this is something that I was talking about, and I would like to continue. Somewhere like where you're not kind of letting it go, but you bring it up in a very straightforward manner. Do you think that's something that would help you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And sometimes it is also very challenging when the other person can be sometimes they're not attentive of who is speaking, who is not speaking, if they are aggressive, or if they just didn't hear it, or things like that. It can be even more challenging to take a stand. But I would still encourage you to try and do that, even if you feel that you can bring that up the next meeting, or some other way, like you can bring it up, like, this was something that I was talking about, but I wanted to draw back to that point. Yeah,
Thanks.
no problem. I know that a lot of things that we discussed today, it's quite generic, and but it's still like a template that everybody can use. But for like what you had asked, right, like a little specific situation, right? So definitely reaching out for like a one-to-one session really works well, because we can really look at your situation from different angles, and look towards the best form of action also.
Yeah, thanks.
Does anybody else have a question, or an experience to share, an example?
Maybe I can share one. Like, example, but just one thing which made my team really happy. I was in an organization where we were a team of 4 or 5 people. And also what used to happen is our superior, whom we to, that person was a bit of very straightforward and aggressive person. So we used to have a lot of pointers, like when we were very new to the project. We used to have a lot of points to ask for or to clear things about, but the team was very hesitant to ask this. So what happens is, on even on a personal note and as a team, we used to have a lot of hurdles and we used to fail at times because first thing, we were not able to communicate with our own manager and the things weren't going really well. Ultimately, we know the consequences that the work is not getting done, and the team motivation is also going down. And we kind of figure out that it's not about the project that we're really struggling, it's just a simple point of communication. So we were coming amongst ourselves, and I tried several ways on how do we, as a team, stand on one point and then get into the bigger team, so that we are clear, and then the ideas that we can take are also working. And that discussion with the team first was really helpful because this way we realized everybody has some hurdles, or everybody has some flaws in their way of communication, but this can be achieved by supporting each other. That was really good thing that I really liked, where everybody came. See, it's the point. A few people might think, yeah, it's okay, it's fine if you're not communicating or anything like that. But at that particular moment, we realized it is very important. Unless we're communicating and unless we are understanding and supporting each other, nobody else is going to support us.
Yeah. No, that's great. Like, how it was not just about the project, right? The team was getting affected, and I really love hearing that, how everyone sat together, supported each other, because everyone had to do it together, right? And that gives a lot of strength, like to stand up as well. Yeah.
True that. One person talking about this was really difficult, right? Because as a team, as a new team, new project, everyone was hesitant. So coming together was a really great experience, and that helped us a lot.
Yeah. I think this also shows that, like, if we do see somebody else that, you may think that, okay, is this person getting targeted, or are they struggling with something? I think it can help to ask, right? And also lend that hand, because again, it's so much greater in numbers than doing it alone. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anything else?
Many would be having many simple stories to share, but that might sound simple but have a really large impact. Anyone want to share anything? If not, maybe we can close the session for now. I'm sure we should be having a lot of stories to talk about.
Yeah.
I know that. Yes. Maybe. All right. If anyone has anything to talk, you can share it now. If not, maybe Divya, we can close the session.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right.
So that's kind of sums up for today's webinar on speaking out aloud. So again, like how Vaishnavi is also sharing about the experiences that we have, and as togetherness. So like, even if you do find safe spaces to talk about these things, get ideas, get suggestions, and we learn a lot from others as well. Like that's how we even learned how to communicate, right? Growing up and seeing how people communicate around us. So I just want to encourage that, we can take a stand, and we can take a stand without hurting another person. So I would again just encourage everyone to develop that self-awareness about how you are presently communicating. Recognize when you do need to take a stand, and respect yourself, and because this will give you a lot of confidence. This can inspire somebody else as well, and this will help you to be more creative, can help you work better. It can help you have healthy relationships, and overall, your quality of life. So I think I just want to end with that. Yeah. So all the best, everybody, with everyone's assertiveness journey.
Yes, thank you so much, Divya. That was a really encouraging and informative talk we had now. And thanks everyone for joining in. On the screen you're seeing is the QR code that would lead to the WhatsApp chat of our team. And in case you have any questions, if you want to talk in person about this or any other things that you wanted to share, you can definitely land on that chat and text your name and your work email address, that our team, the right team, will get in touch with you. Once again, thank you so much, Divya, and thanks everybody for joining and taking your time out. Thank you.
Thank you.